and welcome to Second Chances with Christy Bell's podcast. I'm your host, Christy Bells. Enjoy our array of talented, open-hearted guests and their thoughtfully curated stories of second chances, life-changing choices, and new perspectives. We are here to empower you on second chances in your life. My guest today, Guildner, believes women voices matter. She's a connector, a storyteller, a business coach for high vibe women, entrepreneurs helping them #raise up their voice, vision, and visibility for impact and business growth. Cami helps her clients build businesses that love with more time, prosperity, and more wealth prosperity. She weaves soulful inspiration into mindful business strategies, and the Soul Plus Strategy approach to business helps her clients succeed in business and worldly impact. Her clients scale and grow their businesses with more feminine, abundant approach. Her community of entrepreneurs is creating a new paradigm for entrepreneurship, helping each other raise up a ripple effect of impact. Her clients have gone on to reach extraordinary heights as clients, consultants, coaches, and leaders, achieving exponential revenue growth, landing on big stages, starting software companies, launching new professional organizations, transforming corporate cultures, and transforming lives. They are influential and they are change makers. Cami is the founder of Extraordinary Women Ignite Conference and host of the award-winning Extraordinary Women Radio. She's a best-selling author of Fire Dancer, Your Spiral Journey to a Life of Passion and Purpose, and was named to the 2025 Most Powerful Women in Business list by the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about Cami, visit her website or connect with her on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Welcome to the show, Cami. Oh my gosh, I'm so delighted to have you. We're going to get into how we know each other and all the extraordinary work you're doing for women, entrepreneurs, et cetera. But first, we do something on my show called Permission to Pause. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you to just, however you do that, you can close your eyes.
Oh, nice. I love this.
Take a deep breath. We're just looking for that moment in our space, in our time, within ourselves, and in this time to just pause. So beautiful, right? It's just that moment, right? Yeah. Permission to pause.
Yeah, and we need more of those every day. I know I do.
Right, so that's why it's called permission to pause. Like P2P, put it on your sticky note, put it on your computer. Permission to pause, right? It's just amazing when you learn to do this on a regular basis. And I'm pretty good at starting everything I do with it, but I forget sometimes, as we all do, being human. Well, I'm so excited. I always start my show with how do I know my guest? We met in 2020, just pre-COVID.
Yeah.
We were both nominated as women of top 25 most powerful women in business for the Colorado Chamber.
Honor.
It's such an honor, right?
Yeah,
and gosh, such a cool time. And wonderful. I mean, we are consultants and coaches in the world, and it was very nice to be recognized by the chamber in that role. Yeah. So that was our meeting point. And then we just bump into each other almost everywhere, all the time, right?
It's a pleasure.
Exactly. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Yes. Again, thanks for being my guest. I have lots of questions for you, but I always like for you to start with your story. Like this is second chances. My belief is second chances are every single moment of your life. You get a choice. You can choose again, right?
Yeah.
And we all have a story. Part of being, and I know you're a huge proponent of empowering women's voices as well, right? But the story matters. So I'd love to hear your story. Where'd you start? How'd you get? Yeah.
Well, I did 20 plus years in the oil and gas industry. I was a VP of marketing and branding in an oil and gas software company for a lot of years. And it was great, right? It raised my son, and it was this space in my life that I, got to travel the world. I had team members all around the world, and it was really a good experience for me. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, that good old 2008, it was one of those years, and that was the year that I got an invitation to leave the industry. And I always say that was my best gift. First of all, I don't think I would have left the corporate world just on my own, because, I was a pretty good gig. And I've worked my whole life to kind of build up to the place that I was. And, I felt like that was really my pathway. Mm-hmm. And so I always thought that I would be, on this executive trajectory. And So I would say the best gift was I got shown, there was another pathway for me. And it's the second best gift to that was that it was 2008 and there wasn't a lot of VP of marketing and branding
Hmm.
jobs out there that year.
Particularly in oil and gas.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so it was this opportunity to go do something entirely different. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, well, let's try this out. And so that was such a beautiful entryway into the world of entrepreneurship. And so I think that was one part of it. So the pathway was a second chance. Then another part of the second chance of that was really my spiritual journey because in my corporate world, I really didn't have a spiritual bone to my body. And the interesting thing was when I got let go in June 2008, in July 2008, my father passed away. And, when we lose a parent, it's
So
just a
hard.
place where we stop and we settle and we, like, what did my dad teach me? And all these things. And so it really opened up my world into how I connect through nature and
Hmm.
horses and animals and all of that kind of pathway too. So all of that came in conjunction at the same time that I was starting my business.
Hmm.
And it was so that was, I think, 18 years ago or whatever that is, if you do the math, but it's a long time ago. And so I've been running my business for all of that time. And my business has taken different trajectories over the time period as our businesses do. Initially, I started coaching women, executive women, helping them figure out their what's next. And then at some point, most of my clients were taking the leap from the corporate world and starting their
Hmm.
own businesses. So that's where I really started to coach women entrepreneurs and really helping them grow their businesses, raise up their voices,
Hmm.
and it's so amazing how like the experiences we have at one point in our life lead to the next point that lead to the next point.
Works, right?
Right? Yeah.
Nothing stays the same, right?
Yeah.
It's just an
Yeah.
evolution, and learning to go with that flow is part of the gift, right? It's
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
the understanding and the development, human development as we grow and develop in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always call those like pause moments when you look back and you have that 2020 view that you don't have when you're young, but you
Yeah.
can do it later. You can look back and say, oh, that happened exactly when it's supposed to happen. Joe, I could do
Totally.
blah, 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 right? Or I could
Yeah.
do blah, 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 blah. So I love the unfolding now. I love the opportunity to look around a corner. Like when I'm hiking, I love to find the space where there's just a turn up above, right? And you can't see
Hmm.
around the corner. It's one of my
Hmm.
favorite metaphors, right?
Oh, that's a great one. To
Because
just
you try
pause and say, okay, what's around this corner?
what's there and
Yeah.
trusting, right? It takes a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It takes faith. It takes a lot to
Yeah.
trust that the path is laid before you, even though something brilliant like a oil and gas VP position goes by the wayside, like who knew?
Right.
And you have to
Exactly.
reinvent yourself.
You do. And it's and
Yep.
that's and there's this gifts, so many gifts in that, right? When we
Hmm.
find this, I'm so blessed that I found the pathway into doing the work that I do with women now
Hmm.
because it's so much more fulfilling than,
Yeah.
what I was doing in the past.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. So yeah, transitioning from a corporate major big ass job to being an entrepreneur, that's a big second chance, right?
yeah,
What
yeah.
was your greatest learning, do you think, in that?
I think you kind of hit on it is the trust, right? It's that
Hmm.
trust
Hmm.
that this is happening for me
Hmm.
versus to me. And it's hard to see that when you're in the midst of it for sure.
That's for
Um,
sure.
but it's when we start to realize that what's happening for me, this is
Hmm.
opening up different types of doors. And I think that, the spiritual side was huge because, even in my work today, I always say my work is filled with soul plus strategy. So we
Yeah,
do our soul in our inner work, and then we apply the strategy.
read that
But
in your
it's
bio.
yeah, and so it's like by being able to mix those, I mean, I would have never figured that one out staying in the
Hmm.
corporate
Hmm.
world, right? I mean, it just
Hmm.
wouldn't have been there.
Right. So tell
So,
me about your spiritual journey. What happened for you? I did read your book. It's been a long time, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
share a little bit about the spiritual journey. That's really key.
So, what happened for me when I was trying to figure out what that space where I wanted to go next, right? When I was in that interim space was like, okay, I don't have a job anymore. What do I want to do? And there was a moment where I was working with a coach and I was in tears that day and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I went on this interview today and it's like I don't really want that job, but I don't know what I'm meant to do. And she said to me, she says, "Well, why don't you go out and breathe your horse's breath today?"
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, I've
Hmm.
had horses my whole life and they definitely they've shaped my world, they've shaped my life. And I'm like, that's pretty fascinating. I'll go do that. And so I went out into the barn that day and it snowed like 18 inches of snow. And it was like, it was still snowing, these big snowflakes. And yeah, and my mare was at the gate and she had like frost on her whiskers. And I just kind of bent down and just started breathing her breath, just like this woman had told me to do. And I had this like epiphany moment where it was like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing something else, right? I'm supposed to be doing something different. And I had been meeting some people that were doing coaching with horses. And I was like, so I kind of turned my back and put my back on my horse's withers, like leaned up against her. And it just came through me. You are not meant to go back to the corporate world. You're meant to go do this equine assisted coaching and leadership development. And I was just like, well, that's amazing. Let's go explore this. And within a month, I was in Northern California training under a woman who was kind of the pioneer in the equine assisted equine learning space. And it just opened up my door. So the horses really took me into that world. And then the other aspect of this, and this was after my father had passed, was that pause. And I think that, when my dad did pass, I did pause, right? I was with family.
Mm-hmm.
It was July. I was going to start working. I was going to start looking for a job on August 1st. And, into July, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not going to do that right now. So I
Mm-hmm.
paused and I just, for the next many months, many months actually,
Mm-hmm.
I slow down, pay attention to the birds in the barn. I, go on lots of hikes. I spend more time with friends. And all of that just started to connect me back more deeply to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I always say that the horses actually took me down that pathway of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have found, because I get in all kinds of wacky spiritual stuff today. It's like, I love to play in
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of aspects of spirituality. And I don't know that I would have ever gone there without the horses showing
Mm-hmm.
me, like when I did all that training in Northern California, I started seeing how the horses could be our leaders and how
Mm-hmm.
they could be our teachers versus us teaching them. I mean,
Yeah.
that had always been the framework I'd been with horses with. And so when I started opening up to the horses being my teacher, what did they have to teach me? I was like, blow my mind kind
Blow
of.
your mind. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So that
I've
was
done
my entryway into this spirituality, really.
so funny. I've done a couple of sessions of equine therapy. I loved it. I love it. And I see a therapist on a regular basis and she has horses. And our next time together, we're going to go be with her horses. And I just listened to your radio show yesterday about the year of the horse.
Right.
And what you've been doing for the last year, and that is being on this listening campaign with women, right? And coming to understand and know more. We're leaving the Chinese New Year tomorrow, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
know.
I know it's going to be February 17th because this probably won't air till June, but we are on the cusp of this year of the horse,
Yeah,
right?
we are. And
And
I've been so stoked about this.
me too. I mean, are we geeked out or what? But I
Totally.
really feel like not only have I been shedding, like
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but the shedding.
Everybody was shedding last year.
Like, what the heck, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So much. But I am, yeah, so delighted. And the signs are everywhere. When you tap in and you know that you are guided and you look for, I like the Hansel and Gretel anatomy, look for the breadcrumbs because they're always there. And sometimes they're always there, right? So when
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
trust the flow and the process of what's unfolding, it's there for us. So this
Yeah.
new year is a really good vibe of energy. And I'd love for you just to share a little bit from the radio show and what you talked about and your learning and your listening campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was just hearing over and over again that things felt different last
Mm-hmm.
year. And so I thought, I really need to go listen a bit more. So I did a lot of one-on-one conversations with people specifically for a listening campaign. And then also did an online survey. And then, I have my podcast and I've got my clients and I have my community. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was always tuning into like what's happening for you. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, things feel different this year. And I'm like, okay, well, what feels different? What is different this year? And what I was hearing was that women entrepreneurs were just really not in a space where they were wanting to like just go out and work anymore. They were
Mm-hmm.
just done with that. They
Done.
were like,
Yep.
I build this business for my life. And so I'm really here to integrate life in a way that feels right for me. I want to design my life and, I want to design my business in a way that creates the lifestyle that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I was hearing that a lot. I was hearing that, um, women were just really in this space of listening to their inner wisdom in a deeper way.
Big
And
time.
so they were allowing that inner wisdom to guide what decisions they were making. And so they were, versus a lot of the external
Hmm.
noise that was out there, they were really tuning inside. And I did hear over and over again that the noise was, if you look at the amount of information that comes at us on a day-to-day basis, I think what they were finding is that they needed to be able to slow down and listen versus just have to be able to sort through all that information.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
And
it's so much. Like
yeah,
it's so much. And it's frying nervous systems. I mean, I think,
it is. Yeah.
absolutely frying our nervous systems to the
Yeah.
point of like not being able to respond appropriately, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, they were so lit up about the work that they were doing, the
Hmm.
impact that they were making with their work,
Hmm.
and being able to take that. And now that they're being called right now, and I hear this a
Hmm.
lot, is that, and this is me, I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now,
Hmm.
and that the
That's
way
beautiful.
that we lead, the way we lead is going to be what shifts, what's happening, all the noise there. I mean, there's just what's happening in the world all around us is there's a lot. And if the more women are stepping into their leadership and into their strength, that is starting to shift the way leadership is done.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
that to me excites me.
It's so exciting. Say that again. Women's wisdom
The medicine our earth needs.
is that beautiful? We might even name your podcast that. Earth needs. I love that. It's beautiful.
Well, it's true though, right?
It
And I
is
just feel
true.
it in my heart.
Yeah, I totally am there with you.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, I wrote in one of my chapters in my book, I wrote about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And I
Mm,
think sometimes we forget that, we are both, right?
right.
But
Totally.
the feminine energy, not just in feminine, right? Not just for females, is
Right.
also starting to come up. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing it also in some of the males that
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
around, right? They're starting to like
Absolutely.
see things differently and soften a little bit and
More consciousness,
more
right?
conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And more
conscious evolution.
connectedness. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Wow. What about relationship driven marketing, trust referrals and warm visibility? I love that because I've been working with another consultant type thing, like really trying to understand, like, we're not doing funnels anymore. We're not doing marketing the old way. There's a new way of
Yeah.
doing that. And I'd love to
Yeah.
have your expertise on what does that
Sure.
mean, relationship driven marketing?
Well, I mean, and you probably have heard it, we're in a trust deficit, right? Because people have been hit with so much information, and here's the way
Hmm.
you should have to do it, the way you should do it, all the shoulds and all of it. So that's been in our what's around us all the time.
Hmm.
And I think people are becoming numb to that, that
Yeah.
constant noise.
Yeah.
So they're seeking something that really connects at a heart to heart level. And they're
Hmm.
not moving until they feel that heart to heart level.
Yep. Yep.
So when I talk about relationship based marketing, it means, and it's still a matter of like putting yourself out there, getting visible, finding ways that people connect with you. But then it's how do you take that relationship more deep, right?
Hmm.
How do you go more deeply? Google has some stats around, they say that it takes up to 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points, 4 different platforms before they ever make a buying decision. And I think, and
Yeah.
I've read some information just recently that that's even going up because
Yeah.
the touch points is going up like significantly. And so we have to find ways that where people can go binge on us, right? Like your
Hmm.
podcast is a great way for people to binge on you. They can go
Hmm.
listen to you. They can get to, you probably have had people say, "Oh, I've been listening to your podcast
Yeah.
and I feel like I know you."
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing where you can show up authentically as you. And, as much as I love AI, I wrote a blog that came out just this morning talking about, how do we keep that relationship in and at the core in an AI centric world when there's so much AI that's out there.
Yeah.
And I love AI. I do. We use it every single day, and I use it more for the like help make what I've done better.
Yeah.
But I lead with my voice always.
Always.
It's always my ideas. It always, it's like my leadership comes first, and then I leverage AI to help recreate it. That's, one way is that, that when we're looking at an AI centric world around us, how do we keep our voice top and center? And because we can't outsource our leadership of thought, and we can't AI our leadership of thought. It's
Right.
really our thoughts have to come from us, our original thinking. That's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it, when I think about relationship-based marketing, I call it a know, love, and trust marketing ecosystem. And that means that we are putting our, like we might be getting on stages. So how do we tap into other people's audiences? We do that, right? We've got an audience of people that already know, love, and trust us that we've built. And then how can we bring more of our wonderfulness to both of those groups? And that could be through trainings, it can be through, webinars, it can be through live events. It's like all these different ways. But it becomes an ecosystem where you're doing some trainings and delivering where people can get to know, love, and trust. You can be a podcast, right? It can be all these different ways that we deliver our content.
Right.
But it's like the people that already know, love, and trust us, they can go into that space of more growing and learning with us. And people that, when we're tapping into other people's audiences, can go into the space of more learning and growing with us. And that becomes an ecosystem versus a funnel, right? Where you're just trying to like go through numbers. Nobody wants to be a number. Nobody wants to be funneled to.
No.
Yeah.
I love that description because I immediately saw the feminine energy in this ecosystem, right? That is a connective like sphere shape. I mean, it's very much where when you went funnel, like I'm just like, male, very masculine, linear, right? very linear, very penetrating, right?
Yep.
Go at it. So I love that. And I see that for myself. I'll tell you, I absolutely love podcasting and I love it because I've always had a passion for women's empowerment. But doing TED Talks for so many years for the TEDx Cherry Creek group, empowering women to get on the stage and do a TED Talk was transformational. Like it just was insane. And this podcast has kind of filled this gap for me anyway, to be able to say the power of the story, the power of the voice, right, is so important. And we have to share it. This is how we connect, women. This is what we do. We get vulnerable with each other. We share, we talk, right? It's yummy.
Yeah,
it's yummy
it is
stuff.
yummy. And it's relationships all day long will just, it puts us into our best way of being.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. What else? We talked a little bit about the feminization of your entrepreneurs and how they're prioritizing energy, capacity, the nervous system health. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because I literally am like, I am at the end of my nervous system and I'm actually getting some support with it. And I'm actually going on a silent retreat next week.
Oh my gosh, that sounds wonderful.
Just to bring myself back in before I start to giddy up, which is my word for the year, right? I'm going to go in and just be still for a week. So, but let's talk about the shift in the energy and that, how, because I think what happens a lot is I see women who, particularly if they've had a corporate job for a long time, right? They are feeling the heart pull. They're feeling like, gosh, there's got to be something else. Oh my gosh. But that identity is so tied in, even when their nervous systems are fried, even when they're they're craving something different. I know I'm speaking your language. I'll let you share what your thoughts are.
Well, this has been my biggest learning in the last several years for sure. I mean, I think that, coming out of COVID to shortly thereafter is when I first heard some people talking about our nervous system. And I was like, oh my God, I know what they're talking about here. I can feel that in my body. And when I started to explore that, and I was at the time I was doing Sounds True, their inner MBA program, which is a great program, by the way. And they brought some speakers in that were doing a lot of training on our nervous system. And I was also working with a wellness coach who sent me a whole bunch of stuff on our nervous system. And I was like, this is my work that I need to be doing. Because as you said, I think that's one thing coming out of the corporate world, we carry that with us. And I felt like I had released a lot of, when I'd given up the 5 a.m. phone calls and all the things that I used to do back in the corporate day, but I still had that drive that wouldn't turn off. And, as much as I thought I was, doing it well, I wasn't. And so I had to really learn to notice what happens in my body when I get into that tension mode and to recognize it earlier. And really be able to say, okay, what can I do to help soften this? How can I release some of this? And to me, it's been a journey of learning to listen to my body. And
so what do you do? Like when you find yourself and you're aware, because awareness is always the first step.
Totally.
You got to be aware. I'm hitting the fan here.
Yeah. I try to get out for daily walks. I mean, I think that's a big thing for me. I mean, as long as I'm moving my body, I think that's a really good thing. I have got two horses in the barn, so I can go out to the barn and hang with them, and
Yeah.
that's a great thing. The daily pauses, I mean, I love that you start your podcast and all the things you do with that moment of pause.
Yeah.
And that's
Permission
a
to pause.
brilliant thing,
Yeah.
because I can tell you I'm really good about doing my meditations in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a really well oiled
Mm-hmm.
pattern, if you
Yep.
will.
Yep.
I'm not as good about doing it throughout the day.
Right. You get in the grind, right? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. That's why you got a P2P on your computer. Sticky note,
exactly.
P2P, permission to pause.
Yeah, so it's those sorts of things, and just watching what I eat, I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
a big
big.
thing on this too, because
Yeah.
if I'm not eating if I'm not putting the right nutrition into my
Hmm.
body, my body will tell me.
Yeah.
So
The
it's
body
those,
knows.
yeah, it's those sorts of things that I do, and it's just a mixture, but it's all, it all fits together.
Yeah. I think you probably know I had major back surgery in April and it was a big surgery. Ever since then, I would get really fatigued in the healing journey. I'm a little over 9 months out now, and I'm doing great. But
Hmm.
I now give myself permission to pause and I go lay down in my bed in the
Hmm.
afternoon. And
Good.
sometimes for an hour, I'm not a napper, so I can't sleep. So I may lose myself in a game on my pod or my iPad, or I may listen to something, right? Or
Hmm.
just meditate, whatever. But just laying my body down and resting. And
Right.
so powerful. Sometimes if I want, I take my computer and maybe I lay down and work, but it's a pause for me. And it's almost like now my body is like, oh, it's time to go lay down.
Right.
Partly it's fatigue
That's
and
awesome.
healing,
I
all
love
that.
that though, that you like, again, just permission to pause, because I
Yeah,
mean so often we would go, I can't go lay down in the middle of the day, but it can be
right.
a really brilliant thing for our bodies to just have that reset moment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. So I'm yearning to know a little bit more about you personally. We've talked a lot about your work and your output, but tell me a little bit more about you personally, your spiritual journey. But
I had my son when I was 20 years old, so I
uh-huh.
was a young mama.
Yeah.
And I married his father. We were only married for a few years, and then after that we separated, got divorced, and I put myself through school at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working, initially I found myself in the oil and gas industry as a receptionist. So
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
right out of high school as a
Yeah.
receptionist, you know, and I became an engineer tech, where I was learning more of the techie side of things. And
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. It was fun. Eventually, that's what put me through school. So with my son being young, and we grew up together, and
Yeah.
he's in a wonderful space in life right now, and
Beautiful. Where is he?
he's in Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the Oregon coast, and it's a beautiful place, and he's built a
Beautiful.
really great business out there, and so it's fun seeing him succeed and grow and evolve and be a good person at the end of
Yeah.
the day, right?
Yeah,
And
indeed.
I
And
re
happy.
exactly. I remarried. I got married in my mid 40s, and I'm 63 now. So we've been,
Mm-hmm.
we I guess we've not been married that long. I met him in my mid 40s, and then we married. We've been married about 13 years now, and I'm married to a wonderful man who
Oh,
does good things in the world. He works for FEMA.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
So you have an only son too?
I have an only son. You
I
have an
have an
only
only
son too?
son. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Ours is in Chicago, thriving and just loving his life. He's younger because I was 38 when I had him. So
Uh-huh.
he's 25 now. But
Okay.
he's doing great. It's just amazing, right?
Fun to see
And,
that happen,
and
right?
boys, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to tell you a story. Yours may not be the way mine is, but he's 25. He's living with fraternity brothers. He's got a job. He's a big job, and I was talking about my therapist the other day, and we were doing some EMDR work about something had come up that made me feel like I didn't matter. So I was kind of working on that whole thing, and so we're in the whole process of doing EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization, helps with
Mhm.
processing emotions, whatever. And so I started laughing out loud, and she's like, "What?" And I said, "There's nothing like a 25-year-old boy to make you feel like you don't matter. Like there's just something about having a son." He never
Well,
calls, he never writes.
I get that, and Josh went through that for sure. And
Yeah,
he's 42 now, and
yeah,
he's much better about it than he was back when he was
yeah,
in his 20s for sure. It's
yeah.
yeah, he definitely threw his loop and share of stories, that we were like, really, oh my God, really. But they move through it all.
Yes, they do. They do. I always say to him, "When are you coming back to me?" They always say you're going to come back at some point. When are you coming
Yes.
back?
Yeah.
He's great. He's thriving. I'm thrilled for him. All right, my dear, we're going to take a quick pause here. We'll be right back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the same patterns keep showing up in your life, your work, or even your relationships? That's exactly why I created Uproot. Uproot is a transformational framework that helps you uncover the unconscious patterns running your life, reconnects you with your authentic self, and intentionally creates what comes next. For years, I've taught this work in coaching, leadership programs, and workshops. And now, for the first time, Uproot is becoming an evergreen online course you can take anytime. If you're ready for a real shift, not just another inspirational idea, join the waitlist now at christybells.com/uproot. Your next chapter starts with awareness. Welcome back to the show, Kami Guildner. How are you? I'm so excited. What a great combo.
This is a great conversation. It's fun getting to know you more. We've known each other for a while, and it's like getting to know you more is just awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, right back at you. The theme for February for me is love, leadership, and courage. And my podcast guests this month have been really, Mary Nguyen is my next guest. I don't know if you know her or not. She's a restaurateur that evacuated Saigon in her mom's belly when Saigon fell. A fabulous story.
Oh.
Must listen to a podcast by Mary Nguyen. She's a restaurateur here in town. But I started my book with courage because I'm a huge believer that it takes great courage to live a meaningful life. You know, ignorance is bliss. I mean, I think there's some reality to that. And there's days when I think, God, I wish I hadn't woke up. I get so pretend like I don't know, but I do, right? So it takes courage to live a fulfilling life. It does. And I think it takes courage to do what you're doing in the world, especially with women who are being asked to embody something new for themselves, their own identity, their self with a capital S, the soul expansion of who they're becoming. And I'm just curious how you see that courage unfolding with your population.
That's a beautiful question. I think that it does take courage to find oneself, like that bright light, that's that fire that's inside of you, and actually step into owning it, right? It's like it's one thing to recognize it, but to actually, okay, what am I going to do with this? And how am I going to show up in my voice takes so much courage.
Much courage.
And define what it is that you stand for and say, okay, I'm going to put my voice out there that helps people stop and think and act and do differently because I've got something important to say. So often, women we can, and I've done it. I mean, I can recall times in my life where I pulled back and said, who am I to share something?
Yeah.
And knowing that's I mean, we all have something that we are here to share and our gifts that we're here to put out into the world. So stepping into that and owning it takes so much courage.
So much courage.
Yeah. And you can feel it in your body, right? It's like you start doing it. And it's like you start to step into it. It's like, okay, do I do this? Do I not? Do I do this? Do I not? And you get that little dance and it's like, okay, owning it and then walking into it is so powerful.
So powerful. And that's leadership, really. Yeah, that's courageous authenticity. In my models, it's way up there at the top, right? This is human development throughout time and creative competencies at the very top, right?
Yeah.
That courageous authenticity, which is, the ability to speak up for yourselves. I have to tell you a story. Years ago, I was in a development program in Atlanta, and my teacher there was an amazing woman, and she used to use metaphors as a tool to be able to help us kind of see where we're going. So I love jigsaw puzzles. I've loved them since I was really little, and I still work them all the time. And so she gave me the metaphor of a jigsaw puzzle around this issue of using my voice. What she told me was that you're a jagged edge of a piece of puzzle, and anywhere you go, that piece of puzzle is necessary in order to create the whole. So if I'm at a table or if I'm in a conversation or if I am in some connectivity of any type, right, it's my job to put my piece of the puzzle in. And for some reason, that metaphor just helped me understand that that my voice mattered, that what I thought mattered, right? And so I started practicing putting my piece of the puzzle in, even though I wanted to throw up sometimes when I was doing it, right? I was like,
Yeah, I love that visual because it's like, no matter where you're at, that piece of the puzzle is going to help make it whole.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's not complete unless you put your piece in, right?
Yeah.
Which is the other beautiful part of that story. Yeah. So, this is a great one on the love question. Love isn't often named in business, but it's all over, right? It's all over. It's all over your work. Yeah. Yeah. It's all over your work for sure.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And the reason it is because I actually fall in love with my clients and I want them to, have that same emotion back. And it's like, I love seeing what happens for my clients and I love them. I mean, I love that word.
I love that word.
Exactly.
Love that word. Let's see. Any last questions? Any other second chance moments or reflections that you have?
Gosh. Well, I'll just say my marriage, right? That's a great second chance one. And it's wonderful when you find, I was older. I dated most of my adult life and it was so nice to actually find my person and be in, it's like it's wonderful, right? To find that. And, and I think it's interesting because we could go back and we could look at times where we could have potentially have met because we were in school at the same time and
interesting.
In the same school, at the same college. And, we didn't meet over the years. And he was in Vail a lot. My sister was living in Vail and I was hanging in Vail. So there's like all these points where we could have met and we did not meet. But I think that we met at the exact right time.
Exactly.
And we just had so much more life wisdom underneath of us.
Yeah.
That
helps.
Exactly. It definitely helps.
I just love this quote in my notes. Final reflection. If courage is trusting yourself, love is staying connected, and leadership is being willing to be seen, which one is calling women forward most right now?
Oh gosh, say it one more time.
Courage is trusting yourself. Love is staying connected. And leadership is being willing to be seen, or I would say using your voice.
Yeah, I think it's the trust in yourself. It's always to trust yourself first.
Yeah.
And then the other pieces can follow, but you've got to trust yourself.
Yeah. That takes practice. Sometimes it's like going to the gym. You got to lift that weight of saying I matter. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, when that old stuff comes up, you get a second chance to go to therapy and do MDR and laugh out loud. But whatever
definitely.
that is.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. I always love to end my podcast with something we call second chance snapshots. And these are just like fire questions I'm just going to throw at you and give me what you got. Okay? What's one word that describes where you are in your life right now?
Fiery.
I'm so excited for this year of the horse. It's a fire horse, just so we know. It's the fire horse. It's not just a horse. It's a fire horse. If you had to give yourself a pep talk in 5 words or less, what would it be?
Believe in yourself.
Love that too. What's one small daily ritual that helps you feel grounded?
My meditations.
Who in your life has taught you the most about second chances?
Who in my life? My son. I think my son's taught me a lot of that.
Yeah, kids teach us a lot. They reflect a lot back to us, don't they? Yeah. I always like this question. What's one book or resource that you are offering that's significant for you that you'd recommend?
I do free trainings every month.
Cool.
So I've got something going on. Sometimes they're a round table where I'm having conversations with others. And next month it's going to be some sort of a training. But I do a free training almost every month of the year.
Wonderful. That's a great segue. Let's tell people how they can learn more about you and your work and your monthly events.
Yeah. So you can go to CamiGuildner.com, KamiGuildner.com. And at the top, on the top right corner, there's a little button that says Get Updates, and you can click on that, and then you'll get the updates of whatever class I'm teaching on any given month.
Wonderful. Well, what a delight. What an absolute delight to spend time with you. And I look forward to continuing the conversation as we continue to evolve and grow and giddy up into this new year of the fire horse.
I love it. Giddy up.
Giddy up.
Let's go.
I went to the rodeo. I go to the rodeo every year. I'm from Kansas. I love everything cowboy. Like I love all of that. Horses, etc. And I went to the rodeo this year with my girlfriends and I found a little brown purse that has giddy up written on it. I was like, it was my word for the year when I did my webinar in January. It's my word, giddy up.
So, you had to buy that one.
I had to buy that one, of course, and
totally.
the hat. And thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Christy.
Really appreciate it. Blessings to you. All right.
You too.
We'll be in touch. Take care. Bye. It is the joy of my life to showcase the voices of people and the messy details of life's journey. As you have experienced, my guests are thriving with purpose and style, but that does not mean that their life is easy and without challenges. I've dedicated my life to you and your journey. Thank you for listening to Second Chances with Christy Bells. Please subscribe and learn more at christybells.com/second chances.